Well, good morning. So I'm gonna plant a fig tree at the edge of the pond today. I saw this up here on top of the dam. Got a bluebonnet here. If you go to the top of the road over here past my food forest, I've been trying to get bluebonnet established, and there's a couple of them, and they're probably 2 or 3 inches tall, real struggling. But then I come out here and just out in the middle of nowhere, here's one right here. I saw this last year and I guess it reseeded itself, so be interesting to see what might happen here over the next few years just from this one plant. But the main topic today is I got a fig tree. This started out as one of the little bitty 1-gallon pot fig trees, and I kept it in my greenhouse for probably over a year, just kind of an experiment. One thing about fig trees out here in Central Texas, you know, every year they die back, like they die back in the freeze and then they come back up from the roots. But as you know, probably 3 years into it, I guess they get the strength and the stamina where the freezes don't take it out anymore. So I just did a little experiment. I kept it in my greenhouse for, it may have been a year or two. Like I said, it was a little bitty thing. Anyway, planting it deeper, bigger roots. Hopefully it'll not die back in the winter. I mean, if it does, it's okay. But the big thing is, where do I want to plant it? Yeah, I want to get some shade into the pond. I'm gonna kneel down on my knees here, but I talk about this a lot, how this pond was designed. You've got the water level, which is right here, but then you've got this other area here. This is what keeps the system from shocking, you know, is as the water starts overflowing out the overflow, it's also filling up this area here, and it just cushions the shock of the exit out of the pond. And I'm hoping that, you know, rather than 6 inches of water leaving the pond at the overflow, maybe it's 1 inch, and I've pretty much seen that happen. I don't know if 1 inch is enough to keep a big bass from getting, you know, leaving the system. So I mean, I'm hoping that's going to work, but I don't want to, so we can anticipate water coming up to here, so I don't want to plant the fig tree in here. Although I'd love to plant it like right over here in that area. I may plant it up on the top of it over here, but I'm also thinking about planting it about where the excavator is. Anyway, let me figure it out, and let me get a hole dug, and let's get this thing planted. Well, this isn't the worst area on my property. Looks like about 18 inches of topsoil. Then at the very bottom there, looks like that's where our clay layer is. Kind of see that beige color there. Anyway, I got the hole dug. I guess the sad thing is I'm not seeing a lot of moisture here, so we'll have to see how it works here. But let me cover something. Like I said, the pond was built in 2019, and these 2 trees had to be relocated because they were in the pond area. And I built a swale across here and kind of planted them on each side of the swale. But I kind of abandoned this, and I think I made a bad decision by abandoning it, but I'll tell you why I abandoned it. It never filled up with water. So you look on the other side of the fence here, this is all native stuff. You got oaks and cedar trees, big old mulch layer. And I guess my thought was, I'm not having any water running through here because all that mulch just sucks up the water. So I wasn't getting the swale filled up. But I got to keep in mind the reason we're doing this, and it's evident as we go to year, is we're getting less normal rainfall and more big events. So, you know, if this swale, see if I can see the remnants of it, if this swale is inactive until we get that big rain event, I'm talking about we've gotten 2 to 12 inches in a week. I mean, it's definitely going to catch it in those flows, and I just got to keep reminding myself we're not in it for the little half-inch rains. We're in it to capture the big events, because we seem to be coming this cycle of we got drought followed by heavy rain. The heavy rain causes erosion, and then the drought causes fire. So you know, this is what we're trying to fix, getting the water in the ground. Anyway, just kind of talking about my thoughts on this thing. Anyway, the fact that these trees didn't make it, and this is, like I said, too far out where I'm going to water it or take care of it, The fact that these two died kind of tells me I'm gonna have to take care of this fig tree. I'm just gonna have to get a bucket and hump some water out of the pond for a couple of years. Until this thing's probably got roots 6 feet deep in the ground or something. Anyway, let me get this thing planted. Okay, I got it partially planted. When I was digging it out, I put all the dirt on the downhill side, hoping that once I fill it up, the remaining dirt it'll already be here to make a berm around it to catch water. Anyway, it's not all the way full at this point. I just need to somehow get water to it, get it fully saturated. Then I'll finish covering it up, and I'll probably wait a week before I mulch it, because there were some big chunks of dirt in there, and I think it's going to compress down. In fact, I left it slightly higher than the ground level, anticipating it's going to sink in, and hopefully when it settles out, it'll have its own little watering ring, maybe an inch below the surface. We'll see what happens. But I got to go find some water. Well, my iris project that I did a couple of weeks ago, I planted it on the little erosion side of the pond where water is going to flow in. Anyway, they're not doing real good. Looks like cows picked it out. Cows or deer or something. And the ones that didn't get picked out, they're not looking real good at all. Anyway, since I grabbed a bucket, I went ahead and gave them some water, and I'm going to throw some hay on top of it, and I may even cover them up with the hay. You know, they got enough root energy with those big roots that covered up with hay, let roots get established, and then hopefully the leaves will pop up from there. But I'm going to see if I can save them. But let's get the water in the fig tree. Okay, well, this will be the last segment, but I got 4 things to show you. So back in this corner, I went ahead and planted the iris, the rest of the iris that I had. And it actually makes sense. This was actually moist, and then we're going to pan over to where you can see hay up here. You know, kind of the same distance. Both of them were planted on the edge of the water line, but this one being a much slower gradient down, that actually had moisture. Where you go down to the one, that's the other iris patch that I covered in hay, which I'll do the same thing with this one here. But you can see it's held 3 feet above the water line currently, so it's very dry. I think when it comes to wicking, it's about 18 inches. And that's what I've been told. It's like, assuming you got water down in here, and it's going to wick up and create moisture. Anyway, so this will probably have a better success of working. Now let's go up to the asparagus. Since I had the bucket out here, I went ahead and watered it and added some more hay. And it was actually a bigger line than I thought I had done. So that's probably 8 feet, an 8-foot row here. Anyway, watered it, put hay in it. Let's go look at the fig tree. So I had it half filled, then I put 20 gallons of water in, then I packed it down, then I filled it in some more, then I put another 15 gallons. Like I said, I'm not going to mulch it yet because I got a feeling whenever I dig holes with the excavator, it's such a big hole, I get a lot more collapsing. So I'm not going to put the mulch on until I'm sure I've got everything firmed down. I mean, I'll probably come out here every day, put 15 gallons in, put my foot in it and push it down. Once I feel like I've got it down, I'll stop. But I'll bring up a good point about planting it on a slope. So rather than having a full ring, you can just do the half fish scale. Anyways, that means rain, water flow will come in here and, you know, kind of hold in the dam. Even if I'm pouring buckets in, it'll still hold it because it's kind of sloping downhill. So I like that. So that's that. We'll go take a closer look at the irises over here that I covered. I think we got, I think today is Tuesday, mid-April, and slight chance of rain this weekend. Sure like to get this thing full. Anyway, so here are the irises that were not doing good at all. Like I said, they're so far up from that water line. This was all dry soil. So I watered it, covered it with hay, watered it some more. Now that I've got to tend to the fig tree and the asparagus, I'll make sure I stay on top of this. But that hay should hold the moisture. I think there's enough light coming in through the hay. I mean, I've never had a problem with stuff popping up through hay like this. And then look at the rock overflow to the sediment pond. Anyway, we're going to call it a day. Thanks for joining me on this. Have a great day.